Welcome back to the Literary Lounge. I'm Emily.
And I'm Paige.
And we're here on a Wednesday, and we're going to be talking about Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. Our drink for today is the triple shot martini. What did you put in it?
It has a double shot of espresso with some coffee ice cream in it and a coconut Irish cream, but you can use whatever Irish cream you want. And then a shot of Kahlua and a shot of vodka.
It's really good.
Yeah, mine's non-alcoholic, but
I thought it was going to be sweet. It's not that sweet, which is perfect because I don't like sweet stuff.
yeah,
But-
gives you a headache.
Yeah.
It does for me.
Yeah, so that's on our Instagram if you're looking for the recipe. So, question of the week before we get into this book is, what is your favorite book genre?
It's kind of a hard question because I love so many books, but I would either say if I'm looking for something really exciting, either fantasy or a thriller. I think those are my favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't think I could forever read one type of book because I like to switch it up. I would probably say fantasy.
Yeah.
Or to get specific, fantasy romance.
Yeah.
Romantasy.
Romantasy. That's cute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. Yeah, I don't like reading heart I guess what is the word for it? The type of fantasy books that don't have any romance in it,
Fantasy? Just regular fantasy?
It's just regular fantasy.
Yeah. Like George R. R. Martin.
I probably wouldn't like to read Pirates of the Caribbean if that's a book. Is it a book? Is it just a movie?
I think it's just a movie.
You know those, that type of fantasy.
Yeah, or Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, no, I would never read that. I won't even watch it.
But you like Game of Thrones.
True, but I don't know if I'd read it. Maybe I'll try it someday.
They're
they're
pretty good.
Hard to read.
They are, especially, after watching the show, it's you want to just reread everything you already know that happens when you could just rewatch it.
Does a lot of stuff happen in the book though that isn't in the show?
I read them a while ago, but I remember them being very similar. They really stuck to the storyline. If anything, the books kind of drag on a little bit because there's just so much more dialogue and slow movement of the characters.
Yeah.
The chapters jump to the different characters like the show does, right? So
yeah.
They spend a lot of time just kind of talking and hanging out and stuff because they're really big books. So I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe someday I'll try it.
If he writes more books, George R. R. Martin, and takes a different spin on the ending, then I will definitely reread all of them.
Oh, really?
Just to then read that new one because I don't want to spoil the ending of Game of Thrones, but I was not happy with how it ended.
Oh, the show?
Yeah.
Because he's not caught up yet, right?
Right. Oh, I don't even want to spoil it in case people have watched it, but he's pretty far behind.
Okay.
The whole sucks. Before Jon Snow and Daenerys meet up, I think is he's further back than that.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah. Anyway, that was still kind of a spoiler, but
no, not really. There are two main characters. They're bound to meet sometime.
Right. But anyway, great show. Bad ending.
All right. Well, should we get started?
Yeah, let's do it. All right. So should we start off just kind of talking about Naomi's backstory a little bit? Because we don't really find out, I guess, what happened with her fiance till later in the book. But
we can just summarize.
But yeah, I think we should just talk about how she ended up in Knockemout, which essentially she ran off on her wedding. Her fiance was abusive. He was a dick. She just bolted and didn't tell her parents or her fiance, nobody, her best friend Steph, didn't tell them where she was going and just fled to go find her sister.
Yeah. Yeah, and her sister has always been kind of a troublemaker. She's the complete opposite of Naomi, and she's always just kind of weaseling her way around stealing stuff and taking advantage of everyone she knows. So yeah, so she arrives to Knockemout because of her sister. Her sister needed her help, and she's a twin, of course. So
identical twin.
Yeah, identical twin. And so she like arrives in Knockemout. She like goes to this coffee shop because she is obsessed with coffee. I've never seen the word coffee so many times than in this book. And people are like super rude to her there. They like think she's her sister. What was her sister's name again? Tina. Yeah. So everyone thinks that she's Tina, and there's like a sign that has Tina's picture in there that says like she's not allowed in there. So they like call like if you call it like the local security, it's just this guy named Knox who pretty much just like keeps the town in order in a way. He's not like a cop or anything, but he kind of like acts like a security guard. Like if there's trouble, he's gonna like go take care of it in a way.
Yeah, let's like talk about that interaction for a second, because he came in there like guns blazing. Like he was so mean to her.
Yeah, he was.
It was excessive.
Yeah.
And her coffee obsession is pretty excessive too. So I remember starting off this book, I was kind of like, oh boy, like, these people are very extreme in their own ways.
How did you think of the interaction between them? Because I felt like it was so fake. Like if someone came up to me like that, I would either get like super pissed and like just leave. Like she was like kind of like being like super sarcastic with him and like kind of like playfully in a sense like teasing him back, but like was annoyed about it. I don't know, it was just like seemed so unrealistic to me.
How mean he was to her, and then we'll like get into how he treats her like throughout the book. But it was just it was a lot. Like I just can't imagine like that happening in like a real world scenario, like how he was treating her so poorly. I feel like she handled herself okay. Like the fact that she was not like backing down and like cowering from this like strange man.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Like if I were her and somebody was freaking out at me, I think I'd be like kind of nervous.
Yeah, exactly, especially in the world today.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But another thing that kind of bothered me too is like how she was calling him like a Viking.
I know. What?
I don't understand like where that came from.
I don't either.
Yeah. And then to how like she kept like saying like weird comebacks to him. Like they were like joking really like corny like.
Yeah, that's like the sarcasm. That's like what I was talking about. Like it's just so unreal. Like no one would say that in person.
Yeah. I don't know. I was like, oh god, this book's like 600 pages. Here we go.
Yeah, right. I felt like it got better like later on. Like it wasn't as like corny as it was in the beginning, but still, I mean, there's other things to talk about that happened later on.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm just like full disclosure, like didn't love this book. Like but it was like a car accident. Like I couldn't look away. Like I kept like reading it, but I was like, it's like this is so bad.
So one thing I did appreciate about this book is like it wasn't dragged on so much. Like something was constantly happening.
Yeah.
So like it kept your attention. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So anyway, I mean they have like that really like rough initial interaction. And then Knox actually takes Naomi to like her hotel, gives her a ride, even
because her car was stolen.
Yes, yeah,
we don't know if it was stolen. She thought it was towed.
Yeah, it was
but
missing.
It ended up being stolen.
Yep, and then that's where they find out too, where like Tina, they assume she took the car, ransacked like Naomi's hotel room because like a bunch of her stuff was missing, and then her like 11-year-old niece was just sitting there that she didn't know about. Didn't know she even existed.
Yeah.
Which again kind of bothered me too about this book is it's like I get that like Tina was excommunicated from their family, but like she's 11 years old and like Naomi and her parents didn't know about her at all. Like I just find that so odd.
I know, like I don't really find it odd that the fact that Tina didn't tell them, but like over 11 years, you think they would have found out somehow.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it is weird. It's just it's like so sad though, because like that I feel like can be realistic. Like people just can abandon their kids and just go into foster care. Like that's super, super sick and sad. But kind of a lot of stuff happens. Like they try to go to Tina's place, which is like a trailer. They can't stay there. Naomi has to like assume responsibility over Waylay, which is the niece. And so Knox is like super annoyed, like he's having to like drag him around everywhere, but he like refuses to like leave them, which I guess is like nice in a way.
Yeah, in his own way.
Yeah, so he like brings them to this like little cabin. It's like a little cottage in the woods and said that they can stay there. And it's like kind of close to like his house too.
Well, it's close enough where she can see when he goes outside to pee.
Yeah. Yuck.
In front of her.
I know. And like when that happened, I like thought like, does he not have plumbing? But then yeah, he does.
Yeah,
I thought he
but
was
he
just like roughing
chose
it.
to like go stand outside and like pee.
Yeah, well, like the way they described his house was like some kind of like log cabin, like kind of like I pictured it like run down, like not like anything special. So I was like, do they have plumbing? Because like I have a cabin on a lake that doesn't have plumbing. So like I just thought that, I don't know. I was like, maybe it's not so bad, but he did have plumbing, so
yeah,
it was.
like maybe he has a porta-john in the back.
Yeah. A porta-john. I've always called it a porta potty. It's a
No, it is a porta potty, but like a porta-john is like the portable ones, like when they're blue and you just like bring them on site.
They called porta-john.
It's like a brand. It's like Kleenex.
Is it really?
Yeah, like Kleenex is like tissues.
Okay. How did toilets get the nickname John? I gotta go use the John.
At least it's not like a Porta Betty or something, like a lady's name. They do make pink ones though.
Maybe those are the Porta Betties.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm crying. All right, anyway.
Oh, that's
sorry,
funny.
guys. Little tangent there.
Yeah. Okay, where were we? Okay, so like you said, he takes them to this cottage that they're going to be staying at. It's his grandma's like spare house, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then she lives really close by too, maybe next door. So like they're all on the same property.
Yeah.
And then so Knox, his brother, then comes to, because I don't think we mentioned him yet, but they like don't get along. Yeah. But Nash is a cop. So he's gonna be like looking into what happened to Naomi's belongings and like her vehicle and stuff. Another thing too, what did you think about like them just like breaking out into a full-on fist fight, like Knox and Nash? Like I think they're fighting over Naomi.
Yeah, they were. I mean, it's obviously childish, especially considering it was so hard for me to picture them in their 40s.
Yeah.
That I thought was weird. I've never read a romance novel where they're like in their 40s.
I pictured like mid-20s.
Yeah. I feel like if it was mid-20s, I would have been like, oh, it's just guys being guys.
Yeah.
But like the fact that they're in their 40s, like having a full-on fist fight, it was like, ugh.
I know.
I don't know. Like,
it was
I guess you do
much.
you, but
yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I was like, I'm like, okay. But, and the reason why they don't get along too is, which we can just talk about it right now, but like how Knox won the lottery like a while back and like tried to give money to people, right, that he cared about. He tried to give Nash money. Nash was like insistent, like, I do not want any money from you. Like, and so then he takes the money that Knox like gives him and donates it to the police station for them to like build a new station, essentially. Yeah. And then Knox was like super pissed about it because he's like, that was supposed to be for you. And they were kind of troublemakers growing up, so I don't know if he felt kind of like
he like
betrayed about it because he didn't necessarily like the police officers when they were growing up.
Yeah, it's super immature, I think, just because like Knox used his money to like better the community, and yeah, Nash wanted to also use that money to better the community, and I think like he did that because like of what they went through as kids, like with the police. He wanted to like create a better force, and like,
yeah,
I don't know, he just like is blind to that. He like Knox like can't see that.
Yeah,
I thought that was annoying.
Yeah, me too. Anyway, what were like your initial thoughts on the characters, like as we were being introduced to them?
So Naomi, I thought she was very annoying. Besides like the coffee talk, I think she's like pretty level-headed. Like she's like very organized. She's pretty responsible. Like Knox, he just is like, I don't know. He's just a big question mark on him for me.
Yeah.
I think like he is like, he like won't, he's like blind to things that like should be important, I guess. Nash I really like.
Yeah.
I think he's pretty level-headed for the most part, besides like them like fighting as brothers. But yeah, I mean the two main characters, Naomi's okay, and Knox, I think he's probably just hot.
Yeah.
I don't know. What about you?
I agree. I think for the most part, Knox bothered me. Like I said, he's like overly angry about everything.
Yeah.
Just to the point where he was almost like turning me off. Where I was like, okay, I wouldn't want to be around somebody like this.
Yeah.
Naomi, I agree. Like the coffee talk was excessive. Like that whole thing. That's like how we started the book. Was like she had to have her coffee. She didn't want to do anything till she had coffee.
I remember I texted you, like, I was in, like, the first chapter. I'm like, I know what drink we're doing for
Yeah.
this book. Coffee themed drink.
Yeah. And then I read it. I was like, ooh, you were not kidding on that one.
Yeah.
But other than that, she actually didn't bother me because she seems pretty responsible and organized, like you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was telling you this too before we started recording, but like Waylay, she is like by far the most mature person in this book.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah.
Says a lot.
I know. And I was like Team Nash the entire book.
Really? The entire book?
Yeah.
So, like, I wanted to be Team Nash, but then I felt bad for Knox. I feel like that happens to me, like, in love triangles.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. I was still, like, rooting for Knox and Naomi just because, like, they had, like, that spark.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, not my type.
Yeah. No. Well, and like even though I was Team Nash, like I knew they weren't going to end up together because that's just like how these books go, right? Like the two main characters end up together.
Mm-hmm.
And then also too, I'm pretty sure like I peeked ahead at like what the storylines were for like the next two books, and I remember like seeing Nash's name as like main character for the second book, so I was like, God damn it.
Yeah. I think that one will be good. I mean, Knox got better at the end. I feel like he kind of had like a little bit of a redemption. Like he wasn't so grumpy anymore, and
yeah.
That's
true.
Yeah. All right. Well, we find out that Knox owns the honky tonk bar, and then he also owns this like salon, like
isn't it called like Whiskey Clippers or something like that?
Yep.
It's like a trendy barber shop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Naomi is offered a job there as a waitress by like his manager, and Knox is unaware of this, and he gets like super pissed at her for being there and like tries to like kick her out in the middle of her shift, and she's like refusing. She's like, I need this job.
Yeah.
Like, why don't you want me to work here?
Right.
And like the whole time he's just like fighting this inner battle to like not like her, which is like she needs this.
I know.
Like this is a small town. I'm sure there aren't that many things that she can do here.
Yeah.
For work.
Well, and did you think it was shitty too how like he sent her over to that table where like the really handsy guy was?
Yeah.
He like knew that there was like a pervert regular.
Yeah, but he said he didn't know that he was going to touch her.
Oh, I just kind of felt like he set her up for that, and then he like flipped out when the guy like tried to touch her.
Yeah, he said he didn't think that the guy would touch her because he's like gotten in trouble before for doing that in the bar. He just thought he was gonna like creep her out a little bit like by talking to her, but he didn't think he was actually gonna like put his hands on her.
Yeah, I just felt like that was kind of
mean.
Crappy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of have like a weird relationship starting out where it's like love hate, like enemies to lovers kind of thing, although I don't really understand where the enemies part comes from.
They hated each other in the beginning.
Yeah, just from like the Tina misunderstanding.
I mean, they hate each other the whole book pretty much.
Yeah, that's true. But so then they like go shopping. Well, Knox like he was supposed to just like give him a ride, but then he ends up like spending the whole day with them
and buying them stuff.
Yeah, he was
buying her a new phone.
Yeah, okay. And then like the Victoria's Secret thing.
Yeah.
I literally wanted to die. Like how she was like, oh, I bet I could ditch him by like going into Victoria's Secret and like scare him away. And he just like freaking like
funny.
Well, then he was like picking out her underwear and he's like, I'm gonna buy these for you. I was
okay,
like,
but to be fair though, he didn't pick them out. He literally just grabbed her size like a handful and threw them on the counter. Like
still, I picture like when I've brought Nick into like Victoria's Secret before, and he literally just like he like won't leave my side, but he won't look at anything. He's just like so uncomfortable.
That's
and
funny.
I'm like, I think I'd prefer that over somebody like digging into the panty bin, you know?
True. Probably thinking like, dang, he's done this before.
Yeah.
know?
I thought, ugh.
Yeah.
Yuck. And then too, like, is it after that where he starts like telling her that she gives him like boners? Or is
Yeah, it
that,
was
like,
around that time. I can't really remember exactly when it was. But like it's so mean of him because like one, he's like, well, I think Naomi's like kind of like getting feelings for him because
Mhm.
he's doing all this nice stuff. Like he's doing everything that you would like want in like, I guess, like the perfect fantasy boyfriend, you know, like
Yeah. Like,
buys
take
her
cares of
stuff,
you.
takes care of her, like makes sure she's like fine. And he's like doing all this stuff, but like in his own head, he's like, this is never gonna happen. Like, I can't date her. But like, he's literally giving her all the signs that he like likes her and wants to date her
Yeah.
while also calling her annoying and needy.
Yeah. Like, as fucked up as this sounds, I feel like so many girls like like
Fall
find it
for
a,
it.
a fantasy like where you change a man,
Yeah.
which is like very unrealistic, right? Like, you would never want to tell like a 16-year-old like you can change him.
Oh
Like,
yeah, for
no.
sure. Yeah, that's never gonna
That's
happen.
super unhealthy. But like, I do, and I'm not like knocking it. I do feel like that's like a fantasy though, where you like turn the bad boy good. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's plenty of other books that we've read and we love that it's like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's
Yeah.
just like kind of a thing women fantasize about, I think.
I feel like it happens a lot though too. Not even just like a fantasy. Like women will get into these relationships like hoping to change, and then they just come out disappointed because they don't change and they
Yeah.
get hurt. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. It's very realistic in that sense that like she gets burned by somebody that has like commitment issues.
Mm-hmm.
Very true.
Yeah.
Things start to like change between them where they start to give in a little bit more. When like Nash gets shot and he's put in the hospital, like while on duty. And so like Naomi goes to the hospital to hang out with Knox and like comfort him, like make sure everything's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he just like really appreciates that she's like there for him in that sense, and then they end up like kissing.
Yeah.
And that's where things kind of pivot a little bit.
So I'm like interested to hear like what you thought about this, because like the whole time I was like waiting for them to kiss, like rooting for it, and that's usually how I am like with books like this, and like especially like in enemies to lover tropes. Like,
Yeah.
what did you think? Because you didn't like them together at all. So like, were you like waiting for that to happen, or were you kind of like, ew, like go after Nash?
Well, I was like team Nash, but at the same time, like I love like a good spice scene, and that wasn't a spice scene, but like when that happens, you know that could be coming.
Yeah.
So like I was down for like them like moving forward, but like anytime she'd like hang out with Nash, or like when her and Knox like broke up briefly or whatever, and then like Nash was kind of like hanging around her and stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, like maybe they're gonna like be together. So I mean, I wasn't like sad when it happened, I guess. Like I still like reading about like romance and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Naomi like leaves the hospital, and then she like goes back to her cottage, and I think it was like either that night. Well, they find out Nash is gonna be fine. I think it was either that night or the next day. Knox shows up, and then they like hook up. They like have sex, and it's like a pretty spicy sex scene. But he falls asleep there, and then they wake up the next morning, and Naomi's parents are there.
Mm-hmm.
Mortifying.
Yeah.
And she like is, I can't remember, like she was like in a robe or something, but their clothes were like all over the floor.
Yeah,
like,
she was like kicking her like underwear under a table or something to like get it out of like their line of view.
And she like put his pants like in a cupboard.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden Knox wakes up and starts like walking down the stairs, and I think he just like had his boxers on, and her parents are like right there, and he like didn't seem to care at all. Like he was just like, hey.
Yeah, he like wasn't modest about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it was kind of weird how her mom was like, oh my gosh, like you hooked up with him, like that's so exciting.
Ew. Oh my god. He's so mortified.
Yeah.
Ew.
I mean, prior to the parents coming in though, that was like a pretty good spice scene.
Yeah.
Like the only thing that I was kind of like, I don't know if I'm into this or not, was like how dirty talking he was to her.
Yeah,
like,
I'm
he
like
just
faintly
like talked
like
to her
remembering it.
like a lot during it.
Yeah, probably a little too much.
Yeah, but like Did it bother you that they like hooked up right away, or were you like down for it?
I was like, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of
fine.
different. Like, I feel like we've read so many like slow burn romances where, like, for example, like the book we did with our husbands, like it took to like the very end to have like a spice scene.
Yeah. I mean, this was pretty far in the book though. But yeah.
Yeah, it was like before halfway though.
Was it?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't really remember. But yeah, like, and also, like, they have to explain, because like her parents like assume that they were dating, but then they have to explain that they're like just hooking up.
Yeah.
Like, that is, her dad was like getting pissed. Like, oh,
Yeah.
couldn't even imagine.
Yeah, at least her dad like reacted pretty normal for a parent.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like, in
her
that
mom
situation.
definitely didn't. That was gross.
Yeah, she was like
constantly,
literally like
rooting for them.
high-fiving her.
Yeah. Yuck. But yeah, so that all happened, and life like is starting to fall in line for Naomi and Waylay. They've like built like a community, like a sense of community and family in the neighborhood, and like,
yeah,
she gets like another job, like another part-time job at the library. She's still working at the honky tonk bar. She's getting Waylay into school. But so she's like kind of like trying to work on like custody.
Yeah.
For Waylay, and of course like the what is it? The
caseworker.
Yeah, the caseworker kept like showing up like at the worst possible frickin' times. Like,
right.
The first time I think she showed up was that scene like with her mom and dad. They were like outside like arguing.
Yeah. Yeah, she kept like popping up at like you said, the worst moments. And then like it seemed like they, like you said, they build like a sense of community, but then everybody that like cares about Naomi just like totally drops their entire lives and like everything they had going and just like hangs out in Knockemout. Like her parents literally like are staying there long term. Her like best friend comes and stays there long term, which is like sweet, but at the same time I was like, don't these people like have places to be?
Well, the parents are retired. I think her friend is like rich.
Yeah.
I don't think he like does anything really.
Yeah. Well, and he was like working to sell her house.
Yeah.
And so again, I thought this was like kind of like a little bit of a plot hole, how she like doesn't have any money or anything. Like she like literally shows up to knock him out with nothing. Granted, she did get robbed.
She got robbed, and also she didn't have access to her cards, but like she spent all her money on that wedding.
Yeah.
So
I just felt like she seemed a lot more poor than like she probably was. You know what I mean?
Like they made her out to be more poor than she probably was.
Like so she like literally had nothing, and like right away she had to like start working at Honky Tonk. I just feel like there could have been like other ways to sort out this situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, I don't think it was a plot hole though, because she even like explained like she didn't want to ask her parents for money because like if they wondered why she need money, like they're gonna ask, why do you need money, and then she'd have to tell them, and she like wanted them to have like their retirement cruise and everything.
Yeah.
And I mean, she could have asked her friend, but I feel like she's like that person who like doesn't like to ask for money, and I feel like a lot of people are like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm assuming she was like waiting for her cards to come back in the mail from the bank, and
yeah,
I don't know, but
it just seemed like when she got there and she had to get a job right away and like all this stuff, it was just kind of like, I feel like you probably didn't need to go through all that. Like you would have had the means some way to like get money or figure something out like temporarily.
Yeah.
Like she just, and granted, like she escapes her fiance, but it just seemed like she was acting like she didn't have anything like left in her life to go back to, so she just starts like fresh out of nowhere. It just felt like very abrupt to me.
Yeah, but if she would have went back, her fiance would have like been at her house, I'm assuming too.
Yeah, I know. I feel like the fact that she just like dropped everything and like started this new life right away, I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, I get that. So Knox like is still like denying his feelings for Naomi, and do you remember like why he does this? Like it's not that he doesn't feel like he's good enough for her. I can't remember the reason why.
Well, so it was never really like clear to me either. That's what I thought it was though, where like because he had like kind of a rough relationship with his dad and stuff, like he for some reason didn't feel like he could commit to anybody, and he felt
Yeah.
like she should be with somebody that was like better than him.
I kind of remember it now. He was afraid of losing someone because when his mom died, his dad like went,
Like abandoned him.
yeah, and
Mhm.
like turned into an alcoholic and then like I think a drug addict too. So I think he was like scared that if he committed to someone and something happened to them, like he lost them, that he would turn out just like his dad. I think he explained that.
Mm.
If I remember right.
Gotcha.
I mean, I don't blame him. I think he needs therapy for that.
Yeah. He's obviously got stuff he needs to work through.
Mm-hmm. So Naomi's ex shows up at the honky tonk, which
Mhm.
was like out of the blue, and then Knox just fights him.
Yeah.
What did you think about that? I'm like, you're literally fighting a man in your own like business, like with
Well,
everyone around.
he like solves all of his problems with his fists.
True.
He's just like a very angry person. I thought it was a bit childish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just that whole thing was like a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, and like this whole time, like Knox again is like defending Naomi, like going to all these like family gatherings, like
Mhm.
literally acting like a boyfriend. And they're kind of like pretending anyway, like for the sake of Waylay and like the grandmother or something like that. I don't know. It was like weird, but they're like pretending to be a relationship. And then,
Yeah. I wonder, did it have to do with the caseworker too? How she saw them
yeah,
together, and so then they were like, well, we should probably be like a couple instead of just like making it seem like Naomi has like random men over to her house all the time.
yeah, that would make sense. Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's like everything seems to be going great for them. Like he literally goes to like Waylay's like soccer game. Granted, he wasn't invited, but he still like shows up.
I
And
thought
it's
that
like
was cute.
it was cute, but it's like he's like trying, but it felt like he was definitely stringing her along a little bit because like
Mm-hmm.
he eventually like ends it with her for like the
Yeah.
reasoning we were talking about. Like after they bumped into his dad, then he's just like, I can't do this anymore. Like you deserve so much better, blah blah blah. And she's like rightfully upset
Mm-hmm.
because like he was doing all those nice things for her,
Yeah.
and then he was just like, nah, see you around.
Yeah,
He like wants to
exactly.
be friends still. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a small town, like she's never going to be able to escape him.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really mean. I felt like that was so realistic though. Like I feel like that shit happens all
Well,
the
that's
time.
like your like standard fuckboy,
Yeah. Definitely.
40-year-old fuckboy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean she's just trying to like navigate through the town, like avoiding him. She like won't talk to him. He gets pissed about it.
Yeah.
But Naomi and Waylay are eventually kidnapped by Tina
Mm-hmm.
and Tina's boyfriend. And they want this like flash drive that Waylay stole that has like a list of like names on it that they want to kill. It was like something weird like that.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And so they're like in some kind of like warehouse or something.
Yeah, they're like taken out of town somewhere and like held captive.
Mm-hmm.
Tina's like in on it at first, and then when she realizes how like violent her ex is seeming, like pointing a gun at all of them and stuff, she kind of like realizes how shitty it really is.
Yeah.
And that's when they like go into the bathroom and like switch clothing.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't work because he's like, I know that you're not Tina.
I
And
know,
vice
that was
versa.
stupid. I was like waiting for that to work,
I guess
but
it was like good try.
yeah. So Tina's boyfriend chokes Naomi and then Naomi passes out.
Mm-hmm.
And then Knox and Nash are like teaming up to like go save her. And
Yeah.
like this whole time, like Knox is like, oh my God, I love her. Like I can't live without her.
Yeah.
And so they show up before, and like this isn't in Nash's like jurisdiction or whatever it is, like
Mhm.
his, I don't know.
His
Is that
area.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like they showed up, like I'm pretty sure it's illegal. I don't know.
To like act
For
like
like
a
the
cop
police
outside of your borders.
Yeah. I guess I don't know the rules
I
for
feel
that.
like these people bend the rules a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, so like they show up, they save them, kind of sums it up, and after almost losing Naomi, Knox tells her that he wants to be with her and Waylay.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of, I think it hits like the epilogue, and it's, I can't remember how much later it is. I think it's like 2 years later, but Knox ended up proposing to Naomi, and then they like get married, and in the epilogue they have like 1 or 2 other kids that they adopted because they're having infertility issues.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much how it ends. It's kind of just like a happy ending for them.
And they got custody of Waylay.
Yeah. Yep. Tina got arrested, and she signed over custody of Waylay to Naomi.
Yeah. So happy ending.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, can we back up to the part where they like he rescues them, and Naomi, when she like comes to after being passed out, she like wakes up and she's like, coffee.
Yeah. I forgot about that. So annoying. God.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God. Yeah, it's excessive.
Coffee is on her mind way too much.
I like coffee, and I wouldn't do that.
Me too. I love coffee. I would never. No. It was weird.
I'd be like, oh my God, I'm alive.
Yeah, that or like, where's Waylay?
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Yeah.
Coffee. Stupid. That's like the one thing, like, well, not the one thing. That's one of the things I really hated about this book is the fucking coffee talk.
Yeah. I feel like it was supposed to be cute and quirky.
Yeah.
And it just didn't land with either of us.
Yeah. It was excessive and annoying. I feel like it didn't land with a lot of people because I've read some reviews and like a lot of people were like complaining about that.
Did you watch like TikToks on the book? Because I'd be curious to know like what TikTok thought about them.
Yeah.
I feel like they're popular though.
Everything I've seen about these books on TikTok is like, oh my God, you need to read this. So I haven't seen like anything negative on TikTok, and I haven't like looked up any like specific videos for it.
Yeah.
But I get a lot of recommendations from TikTok for books.
Mm-hmm.
But all right. So Naomi and Knox have like polar opposite personalities. Do you think this works for them, or do you think it like hinders their relationship?
I think it hindered them in the beginning, where like Knox just like was such an asshole to her, and she was obviously too good for him. Like, and it ended up being like part of their problem, right? Where like he couldn't commit, like, and he was always like so shitty to her too. Like, granted, she still fell for him anyways, so it ended up not being that big of an issue. And maybe like moving forward, now that they're, you know, gonna be together forever or married or whatever, like that hopefully they can balance each other out.
Do you believe in like the whole thing like opposites attract?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've seen it work in like real world scenarios.
Really?
Yeah.
So like I'm kind of like on the fence about it, just because like I feel like you have to have enough in common that like it like works, like you can do stuff together that you both enjoy. So I think like the complete opposites for me, like them, like they are literally like the polar opposite.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would work full time just because of that. But like I feel like it's okay to like, obviously like you don't want to marry like the same exact person as you, but like I don't know, like it's just I feel like you have to have enough in common to like make a relationship work.
Yeah. Like I feel like when I have seen it work in real world scenarios, like people, they have like a couple will have like different personalities but like have the same interests.
Okay.
But like polar opposites probably wouldn't. I don't know. I think you just have a lot of issues probably because, you know, if you didn't even have anything that you like to do together, like there's no way to like build a connection.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that's like with Naomi and Knox though, like they don't have any common interests.
Right.
And their personalities are completely opposite. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if it would work long term.
I was like Team Nash the whole time, like I said. And I feel like they would be really good together, like Naomi and Nash, because
they're both like level headed.
Yeah, and he still kind of like gives her shit about stuff. Like he seems like he's
playful.
Like a fun guy to be around. Like seems like he would take on the dad role for like Waylay. So I think it would have made more sense for him to like be her future husband.
But would that make a good book?
Right, exactly. We have to have the asshole guy.
Exactly.
But yeah. What were your thoughts on like the secondary characters? Like, did you like any of them, or the ones you didn't like?
I liked Nash, and I liked, is her name Sloane, the librarian?
Yeah.
I liked them and Waylay, but I
Mhm.
mean, she's just a kid.
Mhm.
And the grandmother.
Yeah, I liked the grandma.
That's pretty much it. Otherwise,
Grandma
I
was
didn't
kind
like.
of a badass.
I know. Yeah. She kind of reminded me of my grandma.
Yeah.
'Cause my grandma seemed, she was like kind of a badass too.
Yeah.
She'd like ride on the back of Harleys and everything.
Really?
Yeah.
Cute.
But yeah, I mean, the rest I didn't really care for.
Yeah, I agree. I think I liked a lot of the people that lived there in Knockemout, but then I was bothered by the people that came into the picture. Like I
Like
said
the
earlier, like the parents.
Poker guys and the parents and stuff.
Yeah, and like I did like her best friend Steph.
Him too. Yeah, I liked him.
He was kind of cute. I thought it was kind of funny how he was like complaining on the soccer field how the grass was like wet.
Yeah, I forgot about him.
He was kind of
like
a princess, but I did like him. The parents bothered me, like how they just like, I don't know, the mom was weird, and they were just like kind of there all of a sudden.
I feel like they're just like parents, like they're just,
yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. They just bugged me too. How like Waylay got in trouble at school, and then just like the whole gang showed up to talk to the teacher.
Yeah. I feel like it was fine that Knox like showed up because like he knows like the community so well, but like everyone showing up was like,
yeah, they didn't all need to be there. I also kind of didn't think Knox needed to be there because Naomi was kind of trying to take responsibility as a parent to handle it, you know.
Yeah. I felt like it was a good thing he was there though, because the teacher was like completely out of line.
Yeah,
but I mean, she probably could have handled it.
Yeah. Just I don't know.
She's not
like
a damsel in distress.
He was trying to handle her problems, I guess. Which I think the intent was that he was just looking out for her, but
what did you think of Lena?
Okay. How she like walks into Honky Tonk Bar and just like lays a kiss on him like on the lips. And then of course like Naomi saw the whole thing and it was just like
yeah, I know. It was weird. Like do all of his
I was kind of like glad when Lena did it though, because I was like, oh, he has a girlfriend. Like
I know, I
Nash,
thought that too.
Here's your chance.
I was like, what the fuck? You literally just broke up with her. Like really? Yeah. Poor Nash.
I know.
I feel bad for him.
He deserved better. Justice for Nash.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of the spice in the book?
Oh, that was good.
Yeah.
It was spicy.
Mm-hmm. Except for the parts where he kept like telling her constantly that she was giving him a boner.
That was, yeah, gross.
There was a quote.
Or like all the head that he wanted from her. Gross too.
I wrote down a part, I'm trying to remember what it said that like really bugged me, how he was like, when I saw her cleavage, like it was enough to make my balls like twist into a knot or something like that.
Fuck.
I was like, which actually, I think that can happen to guys in real life.
What?
No, not from like being turned on, but like their balls can twist. And it's actually like kind of a medical emergency.
I've never heard of that before. I'm Googling that after.
Yeah, I'll tell you about, Nick told me about somebody he knows that happened to.
Here, I'm actually going to Google that now so we can tell the audience if that's actually a thing. You can move on to the next question, or if you have anything else to say about that.
Nope, I don't. It's spicy. What do you think of like the book alternating between the like Naomi and Knox's point of views? What's the consensus on Google?
So I don't know if they like physically like switch places twist.
Okay.
Because like that's what I'm picturing. Like they're like going to the other side, you know?
Yeah.
So it says testicular torsion occurs when a testicle rotates, twisting the spermatic cord that brings the blood to the scrotum. So I think it like twists itself.
I think they like twist
and then
inside
like kind
the
of
sack.
like tightens the tube. Yeah. No, but I don't think the balls like switch. Like, okay, when you YouTube, when you think of balls, I don't think they twist like this.
They do inside though.
I don't think so. I think the tubes twist, like the balls themselves twist.
I'm like,
but I guess I don't know.
This, yeah.
Let me see if there's a picture, like a diagram,
a drawing.
Yeah. Yeah. So they twist. They don't twist around each other like two strings tying together. Like they twist themselves.
Oh, they twist in
Like
place.
there, that's a good one. See, it's like coiled.
Okay.
Solve that. Next question.
All right. Okay. What do you think of the alternating points of view?
I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I thought it was good. I mean, there's so many books that do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that style. It's good to get like both perspectives, especially like because all of Knox is like if it was just Naomi, you would think like, oh, Knox is like the perfect boyfriend, but like you get Knox's point of view and in his head he's like, I don't want a relationship, like,
Yeah.
you know. So I feel like if you didn't have his point of view, you wouldn't know that.
Right. I think it's good because it eliminates a little bit of that like miscommunication. I mean, there was a miscommunication trope in this book, but like the
We
last
knew of it.
Yeah.
They didn't.
But like did you feel like the book we read with the guys, like the love hypothesis, like that was just one person's point of view, right? And so I think it kind of made it like we weren't, I don't know, I just feel like it was missing things because we weren't getting other points of view.
The love hypothesis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I think like it gave us enough information that we were able to like know what he's feeling, cuz like the whole time we were like, obviously he likes her. Like she just wasn't seeing that.
Yeah, I mean, it was super obvious. It just seemed like there was like a missing puzzle piece, whereas with this doesn't bother me so much with the miscommunication because you're getting a lot of information from like both of them.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm explaining it the best, but like
No,
I feel like
get
it
what
kind
you're
of helps
saying.
like tell the story.
Yeah.
It's just that Knox like bothered me as a human being, and so like every time we had to listen to him like say the F word and talk about how his balls were twisting and like he had a boner, like I just like, okay, like next chapter I don't need to like read this.
Yeah.
I just hate him so much.
So last question. Do you have any predictions for the sequel? I mean, we kind of talked about this, the things that we hide from the light.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest, like they're gonna end up together.
It's about Lena and Nash.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think like how it'll go. I mean, she seems kind of like a Spitfire, and
I feel like she's like the equivalent of Knox and Nash is the equivalent of Naomi. So I feel like something similar is going to happen in that sense, like what happened with Naomi and Knox.
Yeah.
It's going to happen with Nash and Lena.
Yeah. So yeah, I could see that.
I don't like them together though.
No, I just, again, I think Naomi would have been way better suited to be with Nash.
You know what I predict? And I know this ain't going to happen, but it's a good twist.
Okay.
Knox and Naomi get divorced and Naomi and Nash get together.
Oh my god, I hope. That's not going to happen though.
I know, but it'd be a twist no one saw coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. The third one's not out yet, right?
No, but that's about Lucian.
Mm-hmm. I don't like him either.
Lucian? I think it's Lucian.
I think it's Lucian.
Because
they call him Lucy. Because
Oh.
usually it's Lucian. I don't like that name. I like Lucian better.
Isn't it Lucian and Ektar?
Yeah, and I called him Lucian the whole time.
Yeah.
I like Lucian better, but I think his name is Lucian because they nickname him Lucy.
Mm-hmm. And that must be him and the librarian.
Yep.
Which
I'm interested to see how that turned out.
Yeah, because he's kind of like, I mean, he's kind of a bad boy lawyer, right? But like him and Sloane, neither of them are very like not a very far extreme.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? From what we've seen of them, anyways, they just don't like each other.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like enemies to lovers kind of thing.
I hope it goes into like what happened between them.
Yeah, I know. We never found out why they don't like each other.
Yeah.
Do you think they like dated previously?
No, I don't think they dated because someone would have said that they dated. Like Knox would have said something like that because he didn't even know what happened to them.
Oh, okay.
So I think like they were like a secret.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Kind of curious, but
yeah. So, what are your final thoughts? Did you like it?
I stand by what I said at the beginning, where it was like a car accident. Like,
Yeah.
there were so many things that bugged me during this book, but like I couldn't look away. Like, I still wanted to know what happened. I just like everything was like making me roll my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Like it bothered me how mean Knox was to her.
Yeah.
It bothered me how I said earlier that like she just shows up and like starts a whole new life out of the blue. Although it seems like she's really not as bad off as they made her seem. And then she kept getting handouts from everybody when she was there. Like, how when she was playing that poker game, she just wins like
know.
$22,000.
Yeah.
How like Knox is buying her everything because he conveniently won the lottery a few years back. Like, it just didn't seem very realistic to me. A lot of the things that like went down, how these people, like a lot of her like close friends and family dropped everything to be with her. Like,
Yeah.
there was just so many things. Like, but again, like I couldn't put it down. I want to give it more than a 2.5, but I'm not going to because like I just didn't think it was like written that well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm at. What about you?
Overall, I liked it. I first gave it a 5-star.
Mhm.
I pretty much agree with everything that you said about like the stuff that you didn't like.
Mhm.
I mean, I didn't really like those either, but like overall, I mean, it kept my attention. Like, I don't know, I was still like rooting for them, and
Mhm.
yeah, I changed my review though because I need to start like leaving reviews like a couple weeks after I read it, because like I base like my 5-star reviews on like a book that I cannot stop thinking about, like one that I would shout from the rooftops. Like,
Yeah.
I've said that before, but this one I like didn't even think about it again. So I
Yeah.
changed it to a 4. But like after I read it, I like really liked it. I'm like, oh yeah, it's pretty good. But
Mhm.
no, I don't think it's a 5-star read.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Like you finish a book and you're like, oh my God, that was really good. I couldn't put it down for the last 10%. And then you kind of, the next morning, you're like, maybe it wasn't as good as I thought it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not the first time I've changed my reviews.
Yeah. Well,
I've
there's
changed
times
them a
where
few
I'll change
times.
them like months later. Like
Yeah.
I'll read a book and I'll be like, oh, 4 stars. And then I'll like think about it a couple months later and I'm like, I would not recommend that book to anybody. Like in a 4, I would recommend to somebody.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, I would still recommend this book because I think
Mhm.
there's people out there that would like it. Especially, I feel like people that love like, what are they not? They're like
chick lit.
Yeah, chiclets.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And again, like that's not
your
really a type of book.
Yeah.
I keep hoping that I'm going to find a good chick lit, which I think we have found one for this summer. That Abby Jimenez book that we're going to.
Oh yeah, I liked the other one that we read from her.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Her new one's good too. Yours truly.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So
I'm
that
gonna
segues.
probably wait to read that one, or I'm gonna forget it. But.
Yeah. That segues into like, I guess, what we're reading right now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm reading that one. Just because my sister and my mom like both want to read it.
Oh, so you, yeah.
And so I'm like powering through, and it's good. It's not like very cringy, which I love about a chick lit. And
the other one she read was that we read was a little cringy in some points, but it was overall it was good. I liked it.
There were some parts about I like this one better than Part of Your World.
Okay.
And I like how it's like based in Minnesota,
Mm-hmm.
just because there's so many like things where you're like, oh, I know what she's talking about or whatever.
Yeah.
Granted, she does do like the shameless Nadia Cakes plugs again,
Oh,
like multiple times throughout the book.
Oh
but,
no. Well, whatever.
But it's like
get your bag.
I get it, but again, I'm like, wow, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so I'm reading that book right now. And then I finished Adelaide. It was like a book of the month book. And I thought it was really good. I gave it a 4 stars. And it's about this girl who she's like in her early 20s and she like meets a guy that she really, really likes and he like won't commit. Like, but he keeps going through the motion of like most of the things that like a boyfriend would do, like spending all this time with her, like going on weekend trips with her.
Sounds like the book we just read.
Right.
But better.
It's better. But he has like a lot of like commitment issues from like a past relationship. And you can see the signs, right? Like where you're like, he doesn't text her back for a week, like he's shitty, like, you know, she can do so much better and she's like bending over backwards for him. So it kind of like reminded me of like some of the things that like I had been through like many, many years ago, college, whatever, like where you like date the guy that doesn't really like see your value. So I felt like it was like very realistic in that scenario, and it was kind of like interesting witnessing it, I guess, from the outside point of view.
Yeah,
So,
I'll have to read that.
Yeah.
I saw it on Book of the Month.
You can borrow my copy if you want.
Okay.
Yeah, anyway, have you read anything?
No, I wasn't going to announce it, but
Oh.
I am pregnant.
Yay!
And I've had the worst first trimester ever.
Mm-hmm.
Like sick all day, every day, laying in bed all day, every day, sleeping constantly. So I haven't like read much besides like the books that we're reading for the podcast. I am at 12 weeks now, so hoping it seems to like be getting a little better. Like now it's more coming in waves. Like
Yeah.
one day I'll be terrible and the next day I'll be fine. Like today I didn't even take any medicine for it. But yeah, hopefully I can get back to like reading, because like even reading was like too much of a chore for me. Like yeah. And like yeah, I don't know. I haven't been able, like I've had no energy. Like I haven't really been able to eat much or like drink much. So I'm just like,
yeah, you've been really put through the ringer the past like month.
Yeah, it was hell.
Yeah.
Literally. I mean, I'm very grateful, but like you people out there that have been pregnant, you women out there that have been pregnant, like you know what I mean. Like the first trimester is terrible.
Yeah.
So
yeah, well, hopefully comfort and lack of nausea are on the horizon.
Yeah. I have a long TBR, so hopefully.
Well, summer is perfect time to work through it.
I still have not finished A
Court of Silver Flames?
Yes. I know. It's like kind of seems like a chore to pick it up right now. I don't know why, and I love Akatar.
Yeah.
I think it's Nesta.
Yeah, she kind of rubs the wrong way. She won me over in the end, though.
All right. In the end?
Well,
the
like,
end of this book?
throughout the book.
Oh, okay.
Right, you kind of see why she is the way she is.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'll finish it. I'm not DNFing it, but
yeah. It's worth a finish for sure.
Mhm. All right. Well, that is a wrap for this episode of the Literary Lounge. Again, I'm your host, Paige.
And I'm Emily.
And again, we put up an episode every Wednesday. So next week we'll be doing an episode. It'll be a spoiler-free episode that we are just kind of talking about like our favorite romance books and our favorite tropes.
Mm-hmm.
So stay tuned for that. And if you liked this podcast, go check us out on YouTube. Please subscribe. We're trying to build our subscribers and a community over on YouTube. Leave a comment under this video if you can, if you have any questions or if you have any book recommendations. Like, we'd love to hear them. But yeah, thanks again for hanging with us today.
Yeah, we'll see you next Wednesday.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.